Backyard Interviews. Today's guest is Jim Henninger, author of Reporting a Kill. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning. Thank you, ma'am.
Backyard Interviews. Thank you for coming. I understand you wrote Reporting a Kill when you were recuperating in different places.
That's right. I was married for 39 years. My wife passed away about 3 years ago. She'd always, thank you, she'd always encouraged me to write a book. In my line of work, I write. And so I wanted to, but never had an idea in my head, but never was able to bring it to fruition. And I had a hip replacement in 2013. It went very well, very smooth, and I had 6 weeks off work. So I wrote the book when I was off work. I put 2, 3, 4 hours a day in on it, and had my manuscript completed by about a week before I went back.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's amazing. Now, do you think that writing the book helped your recovery process?
Well, it kept me from getting bored. I didn't want to watch daytime TV, and I had the books I wanted to read. I was pretty well caught up on. I'm a pretty avid reader, and so it gave me something to do. And once I got into doing the book, it was very rewarding. It was fulfilling, and it made me, like I said, it mostly helped me pass the time away. But I also, when I got done each day, at the end of anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, I was mentally exhausted, tired, and I just kind of walked away with the computer, and went back to it the next day.
Yeah. But it did help with the recovery process, I'm sure, because boredom is definitely a
yes,
enemy of
in that regard, it surely did, because I worked. It was kind of the centerpiece of my days most of the time.
Now, I read the Kindle sample that's available on Amazon, and I was very intrigued. Can you tell me a little more about the book, please?
Yes, the book is about a gentleman who, and I have it is fiction, but a lot of it I've taken from past experiences in my life and interwoven them into the book, changed things here and there, a little literary freedom as you would have that, and put things together. But the protagonist is a person who works for a big insurance company and interviews people who file disability claims, which is what I do. And he, under a set of circumstances that I won't go into too much detail, he is falsely accused of sexual assault by interviewing a woman who once received disability benefits from his insurance company. And he goes off in the deep end. His church kind of turns against him a little bit, and his friends and family all turn against him. The accusation receives some publicity, both in the paper and on the TV and so forth. And he's pretty much in a dark place, and he actually, in a turn of events, he witnesses his accuser being murdered.
Oh, wow.
And the guy who murders her sees him, and then kind of there's a chase scene through the woods, and that's how I start the book. He's being pursued in the woods, and in the first chapter, and I bring that to kind of a close, an open-ended close, I guess. And then I go back about 13 weeks, and we pick up from prior to the chase scene and lead everything in to how that occurs. And then after that, I get to that point, without giving too much away, he wakes up on the floor of the home where the woman was killed, laying next to her body with a gun near each hand, 2 guns. There's some blood on the floor where she's been, and so from there I pick it up, and I don't want to give a lot away, but he sort of gets out of there, and then from there it takes a lot of twists and turns. There's a little bit of romance in it, lightly in that area. There's a little humor in it along the way, and then the whole book is about his redemption, which includes even hiring a private detective toward the end of the story to try to help him track down the killer who has threatened him and contacted him in the interim. Police are involved and so forth in this, and in the end, at the very end of the book, it has a kind of a twist ending, one I think will surprise the reader that won't be expecting it. So this is definitely not a book you want to look at the end of the book first. You want to
read the whole thing to get there.
You want to play it straight and go through the whole book. Yeah.
Good. I love surprise endings.
But it's a quick read. It's not a tedious read. It's 240 some pages. It's pretty action packed. It moves fast, and so it's not an overbearing book.
Okay. I look forward to reading it. So what are you currently working on?
Well, my current project is I'm doing a biography of a gentleman, and it's going to be very, very, very interesting. It's going to read like The Sopranos.
Oh.
It's a gentleman who has a background, an athletic background, involved in nightclub ownership, management. I'm talking security and the bouncing type work, drug involvement, weapons running, theft, grand larceny, undercover agent for the ATF for a while.
Oh, wow.
Served prison term, survived liver cancer, and a lot of things. And he actually he found Jesus. He was saved, and the book is gonna be the whole story of his chapters of his life as he goes to that point. And again, it's going to read like an action-packed fiction. It's unbelievable. So many things have happened to him, that including some murder along the way.
Oh, wow. And so this is the life of a real person.
This is a real person. It's like
wow.
You couldn't make this stuff up. It's going to be very, very interesting.
Actually, the real story is usually better than the stuff that is made up.
This is going to be the case.
Any sequels planned for Recording a Kid?
I had planned to write a sequel, and I will tell you enough about the ending that I left it open for the sequel.
Okay.
But this opportunity came up in the interim, and I'm working on it as I can. I'm employed full time, so I work on it on nights and weekends, and I think I've met with my subject about half a dozen times. I've got about 8 hours of tape so far.
Wow.
And I've just dug into it, and I've got to do all that. Then I got to go back at the end and interview people throughout his life, including family, friends, shall we say, Confederates, colleagues in crime, law enforcement people. I got a lot of people to interview after he and I get through it. So.
Oh yeah, a lot of work involved in that, that's for sure. So, this is your first time at the Decatur Book Festival?
Yes, it will be. I was fortunate enough to be accepted as an emerging writer. I get the opportunity to give a 10-minute speech or talk in a tent in front of anybody who happens to be there, and then I leave a supply of my books along with the other emerging writers who leave their books, and they'll be on sale at the festival.
Okay, good. So are you excited about the experience?
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I went to it last year, so I have an idea of how it goes.
You have an idea what to expect.
I do.
It's always a good thing to do.
And I've had several book signings, so I have an idea. I know how to approach those.
Okay, good. What advice would you give to other writers?
I would tell writers that the biggest thing, I think, is to have an idea of what you're going to write, and don't be in too big of a hurry to start putting your manuscript together before you're ready, so you don't get discouraged and quit. Because a case in point, I had what I thought was an entire story lined up in my head that I'd been thinking about for a few years, actually. And then when I was on my recovery from hip surgery, I was going along, and I got to the point where in my head I had gotten this far with the story, and it just wasn't long enough. And it wasn't really, and I thought I got to make it better than this. So at that point, with that solid foundation, then I went forward, and it sort of really flowed nicely, and I thought the book got better in the last half even. I was real pleased with it. But you've got to have the foundation, more than just a subject or an idea. You've got to have a pretty solid idea. I'd say at least get you through, a half or three-fourths of what story you want to tell.
Always be prepared.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us at Backyard Interviews, and thank you, Mr. Henninger, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for more episodes.